Bernie Corbett with Mark Linehan. We get ready for the first of two between the Terriers and the Mavericks here tonight.
It's an open Terrier hockey fans have heard for 33 years, and it all started in 1985 when former BU broadcaster Rick O'Kane decided to trade in his mic for a pilot license.
For a couple of years, I was the color analyst, and I worked with Rick O'Kane. Rick was trying to make it in two very tough fields. He was trying to make it either in broadcasting or in aviation. He was also a pilot. And he got his big break, which turned out to be my big break with US Air as a pilot. He's still flying today, as far as I know. I don't think he's retired yet. And that gave me the opportunity in the fall of 1985 to begin to do the play-by-play and thus become the voice of BU hockey on the broadcast. And now it's, we fast forward, now it's 33 years later that I've been calling the games. And as I look at it, at this point, I'm halfway to Vin Scully. I've been doing it for 33 years.
Vin Scully may have had the biggest influence on Bernie's career, but he's far from the only one.
I had an opportunity to be exposed to just by clicking the radio on. And I clicked the radio on as a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid. You had at the time in Boston, you had a guy like Johnny Most calling the Celtics, who was an absolute legend who I idolized.
Oh, no! And they call it the other way. A traveling violation. I can't believe what they just called.
You had Bob Wilson calling the Bruins, another iconic figure with the great pipes and the great call.
Back into the zone to Bobby Orr. 2 seconds, 1 second. It's over. The Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
The Red Sox had Ken Coleman and Ned Martin and, two other Hall of Famers.
The pitch is looped towards shortstop. Petroselli's back. He's got it. The Red Sox win. And pandemonium on the field.
And then a guy that we just lost this week, Gil Santos, calling the Patriots.
Set to go, snap, ball down, kick up, kick is on the way, and it is good! It's good! It's good! Adam Vinatieri booms a 48-yard field goal, and the game is over, and the Patriots are Super Bowl champions!
I mean, these guys were all a collection of not great broadcasters, but iconic. I mean, the best in their profession at that time. And these guys were only a turn of the radio dial away from me as a young kid. So I think that if people that listen to me now that are of a certain age, they probably hear things that I've taken from all those guys and others.
What do you think the best season is that you've had?
Oh, that first year in '86 and 1990. Come from behind in 2 out of 3 series against Northeastern in the Hockey East quarterfinals. To come from behind against North Dakota in a 2 out of 3 series at Walter Brown Arena to advance to go to Michigan State, to come from behind again in a 2 out of 3 series to get to the Frozen Four. That year was really special. 1997, absolutely a tremendous year. There was so many nights during that season when BU we weren't able to dress the requisite number of skaters. We'd have maybe 11 forwards and 5 defensemen out there. But as long as you had Chris Drury, that counted for about 3. It's a rarity for BU to be an underdog because of the success of the program. So I think that those 2 particular seasons, because of what happened in those 2 particular series, to win that series against Michigan State at Michigan State, and to win that semifinal game against the unbeatable team from Michigan. It's so rare to be the underdog. To have those victories, to remember calling those games, is pretty special. It came to me as I'm down in Providence, and I'm thinking to myself, we had a 6-2 lead in the game too, which helped. I said, what am I going to say? This is a big moment. It's a big moment for me. Win a national championship, first time. A lifelong association with BU hockey. We had so many near misses in the '90s, and didn't win a national championship, and then we finally won it in 1995. Very similar to the Brooklyn Dodgers. They had so many near misses. They couldn't beat the Yankees in the World Series, and so many opportunities. And they finally won. The one World Series they won in Brooklyn was 40 years before, was 1955. And Vin Scully, he had, of course, he's Vin Scully. He had the right call, which is why I stole it from him. He said his call when Brooklyn finally won the World Series in 1955 was, next year comes to Brooklyn. And that's exactly what I said, was next year comes to Boston University. I didn't know that 5 years ago I'd have the opportunity to meet Vin Scully and tell him that I stole it, and that I had the great opportunity for Vin Scully to just turn to me and say, that's very flattering, Bernie. Steal anything you want.
Turnover creates a 2-on-2. Vogel scores! just off the bench. Trent Vogelhuber, 3-1 Miami.
2009 was special. I always look at that and say, did it really happen? You know, I kind of, you know, just as far as, you know, the season happened, but did that really happen that night in Washington? I just refer to it as the Disney movie and not as a real, like, was that a real game, or was that just like Disney, you know, came up with the script for that game?
Backhand and slamming the door there was Reichert. Terriers get it back. Cohen a goal. 20 seconds left. Kilroy. Far circle and a goal. The Terriers tie it. Back at the near point, Shattenkirk. Shattenkirk shifting. Dishes it for Cohen. Cohen a slapper. Goal! Goal! Colby Cohen in overtime have defeated the Miami Redhawks. Burn the boats. Mission accomplished.